Greetings all and welcome to another video in Degrassi 6 months later, the shooting revisited videos. This time I'm looking at Emma Nelson and her relationships. Now you'd be thinking, what does this have to do with the shooting? Plenty. It actually does. But of course, I will be not only focusing on the relationship and how that actually affected the shooting, but also her full relationships because no one else has really covered them in full detail. So anyway, before I go on to how the shooting affected a relationship, let me just give you the skinny on Nelson. So Emma had a relationship with Sean in season 1 of Degrassi, Next Generation. She was a good girl and he was a bad boy, and sometimes that's what girls go after, the bad boy type. Sean and her actually have a good relationship for a few episodes in season 1. However, in the episode Under Pressure, Sean fights Jimmy, and unfortunately Emma gets pushed in the fight and she basically breaks up with Sean. She doesn't get another relationship with a boy, even though boys like Toby pine for her. But anyway, the second relationship was first referenced in season 2's White Wedding, when of course Spike and Snake got married and Spike was revealed to be pregnant, and Emma told Snake she was pregnant. I mean, trying to help things out, but unfortunately it got to the point that they didn't like her trying to help out. But anyway, they do decide to have this baby, mostly because, you know, they feel that Emma would be a good big sister and all that. But anyway, Sean goes to the wedding of Snake and Spike and tells her that don't worry about trying to do the right thing. I believe in you. So that's what he does. And basically, the end of all season 2 and start of season 3, he starts wooing her, and Emma is okay with it. I know that Sean was unfairly treated by Spike for his situation, you know, living with his brother and being on welfare and all that. But Emma didn't care. Emma thought she could change Sean. Unfortunately, that relationship bit the dust when Jay managed to get Sean on his side. Sean hangs out with Jay, and Emma was not happy with it because he wanted her to help her. She wanted Sean to help her with baby Jack, but unfortunately, he'd rather hang out with his gangster friends than her. So basically, Emma doesn't have much of a relationship with Sean. And then Emma has a relationship with Chris a few episodes later. Manny tries to pressure Emma to go after Chris, even though Chris has a girlfriend. Emma refuses to do so, and in the process, in that episode, Craig and Manny have sex and all that, which led to Manny being pregnant, and Emma is upset that Manny pushed her that, and then basically backtracked. So they basically break up as friends and all that for a while. Emma unfortunately doesn't make the relationship stick with Chris. I will get more into that in the second part of the relationship stuff. And then Jay and Emma had a relationship, well, friendship, but it was kind of awkward. I'll talk more about that later because that is part of the shooting thing. And then the one relationship that pissed me right off is Peter and Emma. Hema, if they call it. Emma actually in season 5 had an attraction to Peter, but Peter basically wanted Manny, even though Manny tried her best to back out of the relationship and saying that Emma likes you. Why are you going after me? That Peter frames Manny with her topless video and all that. Emma does actually berate Manny, but unfortunately, she doesn't know the whole story. And when the whole story comes out that Peter was the jerk and all that, Emma takes Manny into her home on the and of course, Snake gives her the condition: nothing below a B and no acting in classes and all that. And Emma basically tells Manny that no secrets between us. That would go bitter herself. In the 9th episode, Tell It to My Heart, Emma basically goes after Peter. Now, Emma rejects Peter's advances, but unfortunately Peter gets to her by treating her as being special and all that, and Emma can't help but feel special and all that. Remember, Emma didn't really have a big relationship for a few seasons. So unfortunately, she falls for Peter's wooing and keeps the relationship secret. Unfortunately, it starts to unravel. You know, Peter and Emma's parents, well, Peter's mom and Emma's stepdad, have a relationship and all that. And Emma, unfortunately, feels that it's imperative to tell Spike, even though it's an honest flirtation. Unfortunately for Snake, Spike keeps him out. And unfortunately, Emma feels a lot of pressure because with Snake not around, Emma has to be trusted upon to do a lot of things. She wears herself out, and she tries to help Manny with losing weight for a role. Unfortunately, Emma starts getting into the anorexia craze and all that. And, you know, she falls for it. Basically, Manny finds out that Emma is hiding her relationship with Peter's secret. And is exposed. But Peter, to his credit, decides to help her with her anorexia nervosa. And even though it didn't seem that good, that was the only good thing about the Peter-Emma relationship. So as it turns out, that Peter and Emma were going to have fun together, and you know, it was a decent relationship at start of season 6. Sean comes back into the picture, and Sean basically, Sean and Emma flee the cops because of an illegal street race, and they find they have feelings for each other. Emma doesn't know how to say it, and Emma doesn't know if she wants with Sean or with Peter. Unfortunately, Peter thinks that Emma is going with Sean, and so he decides to take Sean out of the picture by planting a bag of drugs in his locker, getting Sean expelled, and all that. Emma, of course, doesn't believe that Peter would do such a thing, and basically, when Sean tries to hide from the cops, she forces Sean to face the music. Peter gets in trouble too, but he only gets community service. He gets lucky because of his dad. So, unfortunately, Emma probably would have chose Peter in the first place, but it just stunk. And so basically, Jay decides to take it upon himself to educate Emma that she had everything wrong. And Emma did find out it, mostly by accident. I mean, there was a masquerade ball and all that. And when she finds something Peter put in her locker, she's like, how did he get in my locker? It's simple. He had the keys because his mom's the principal. Forgot to mention that. But unfortunately, Peter screwed up. Emma basically puts two and two together and realizes that she was right. That Peter was just being stupid. And Peter said he did it for the relationship. Emma says, get lost. And so Peter, unfortunately, falls flat, and he'll have a couple of bad relationships after her. And then you got Sean. It's like, well, Emma then is more drawn towards Sean. Of course, it was obvious that she was going to stay with Peter. She was just like, let's test it with Sean and see what happens. But unfortunately for her, she stays with Sean, and they become a couple. Not before Sean berates her for being with Jay at the ravine, but Emma said that she needed something to hold on to. She was grasping at straws. Sean basically realizes that he basically may have overreacted with Emma, and Emma said she's not perfect. Of course, that in the first few seasons, she said she would be perfect, but that shouldn't change all that. But that's not the point. So basically, Emma and Sean's relationship suffered through JT's stabbing and all that. But unfortunately, Sean decides to go to the army, and Emma is not happy that, you know, he didn't involve her in her plans. Emma loses her virginity to Sean and almost gets pregnant, but thankfully she doesn't. But anyway, Sean leaves for the army and promises to come back to Emma whenever possible. Unfortunately, Emma doesn't see anything from Sean and basically can't believe her eyes. So she's relationshipless until she bumps into Damien, who is actually the student council president for rival school Lakehurst. You know, the school that had one of the guys, Drake Lampley, stab JT in his aorta. And of course, Lakehurst had to move in with Degrassi after their school got fired. caught on fire, and there was, of course, a lot of tension with Degrassi and Lakehurst, especially with the JT thing. Emma finds herself attracted to Damien for some dumb reason, and for 9 episodes, he has a relationship. They have a relationship. Unfortunately, the relationship doesn't last, as Damien is caught off guard when he wants to be with Liberty, and Toby tells everyone on Liberty. Liberty can't believe that she would do such a thing, and she runs off from the graduation ceremony. But Emma assures her that everything is cool and all that. She knew Damien was the one at fault, not her, and said, I didn't want to break up a friendship over this. So anyway, she remains relationshipless going into college for season 8. And then she bumps into Kelly, who really likes her. Of course, Kelly almost gets Emma kicked out of school because he made pot brownies, and Emma decides to take a few bites because she wanted to make friends and she didn't want people with her boring personality. Unfortunately. And she was going to take the fall for Kelly, but Kelly decides to take the fall for her, stating that he can't let Emma falter. Unfortunately, Emma and Kelly's relationship comes at a crushing end when Emma is basically too controlling for Kelly. Basically, Kelly says, what about my needs and all that? Emma wants to take over the relationship. So Kelly decides to move back to the Yukon and take a job with his dad's company. Now, it's up for debate whether his dad actually may have played a part in it, basically, but he might have only said that Kelly was working for no money and all that. He might have had feelings that Emma was being controlling too. So unfortunately, Kelly goes to the Yukon and Emma falls flat, and she decides to drop out of school because she couldn't handle it. So I believe she goes to Banting or whatever, because that was Smithdale that she got accepted to. She couldn't believe herself. And also that she starts a flirtation with Spinner during that episode, Holiday Road, because she's like, everyone's moving on, I can't handle it, and all that. And Spinner said, Spinner, why did you stay in Toronto when everyone you know is doing other stuff? He liked it. He followed his heart. Unfortunately, Emma and Spinner's relationship would be strange because Emma accidentally torches the dog by accident. And she decides to take Spinner to Niagara Falls to make him feel better. And they end up getting married somehow in Niagara Falls. They want a divorce, they want to do everything, but they both find out that they're in love with each other. And no matter what, they'll stick it out. And they do stick it out. Although some people said, wait a minute, wouldn't they be divorced? Because there were stories that the characters would have been divorced. But in the Degrassi Next Class episode, hashtag Throwback Thursday, they're still happily married for some reason. It's one of the most random endings to someone having a relationship ever. Now, it is poignant to say that Emma's relationships might have faltered because of her trying to take charge. But there's nothing wrong with a woman wanting to take charge of a relationship. There's a stupid culture that, you know, women can't handle relationships. But I think they can. And, you know, Emma may have a bad personality at times, but she got better. Her character was drawn better. Okay, so that's the first part. The second part does have to do with the shooting. And a Reddit post I put on the website, I said, as we all know, in season 4 of Next Generation, Emma was not pleased with Chris going after Liberty after Emma and Chris broke up, because it would affect her reputation. She decided to block Liberty and Chris. But unfortunately, she gets Liberty and Manny scorn, who unfriend Emma as a result. And it led Emma to be recruited in Paige's clique to get rid of Rick. Unfortunately, she loses that because she protected Rick to avoid him being the tar out of. And she realized that she was basically putting the green light for violence, even though it was her plan was supposed to go against domestic violence. And I said, two things I want to know. What if Emma had not been so petty? How would that lead her role into the shooting timeline? Or does she play a role in the timeline? And B, am I correct in thinking that Chris actually didn't want to be near Liberty? I read about it, but I think I misinterpreted it. Flip said, quote, A, would probably support a movement against Rick, or at least turn Rick down when he tried to make a move on her for kind gestures. But she did. in the storyline. That didn't make any difference. She tried to turn him down, but unfortunately Rick didn't take no for an answer. And B, probably not. But who knows Chris did? Because Chris didn't last long. One person said that Chris liked Liberty, but, you know, I don't know what happened. And then one guy said that, honestly, I don't think the writers knew what to do with her character, but I think it was foreshadowing she'll change. Before, Emma cared about being good and following the rules, but now she has no friends. She no longer cares about doing the right thing because she feels none of those things matter anymore. And he also said Chris shouldn't have even had a chance to be the guy that rejected Emma. But the problem with that is that we don't know who broke up with who. I wish we knew. So anyway, that's that. And now it's about her relationships with the shooting. Now, as I iterate, Emma and Chris broke up, and in the third episode of season 4, I forget what that episode is called. But anyway, Emma finds out that Chris is going after Liberty and realizes that she might have a bad reputation. So she, as I said, she foils the plan, and unfortunately, Manny and Liberty have nothing to do with her, and basically she has nobody. And then the next episode, Mercy Street, is when Rick comes back, and she feels that she should have a cause, and Paige and her clique decide to ask Emma for help because they knew Emma was the cause girl. So unfortunately, Emma draws the ire of Raditch, but to her credit, she doesn't back down after he said, "It's not one of your stupid causes." She does the Orange Ribbon campaign about domestic violence, the silent campaign. Unfortunately, that backfires at her, and that gives the school body a green light to destroy Rick for trying to destroy Carrie. Of course, Emma almost accepts a check from Rick for the cause, but Alex gets bad at both of them because Rick for trying to buy forgiveness and Emma for trying to buy forgiveness. Something like that. She makes a speech about women's rights and all that. Basically, Emma decides to go after punch Rick, realizing that Paige's clique will really hate her for being friendly towards Rick. Unfortunately, Emma decides to do the right thing in her mind, and not in Paige's mind, by protecting Rick. Unfortunately, she loses both the cause and other people. So unfortunately, Emma has no support system to be with, except for Toby, as she and Toby are the only ones who are friendly towards Rick. Now, of course, you can call Emma and Rick a relationship, but a one-sided relationship at that. Unfortunately, Rick thinks that Emma did this to like him, but Emma wanted to do it so that people wouldn't bother him, and basically it was just out of sympathy and realizing that she had botched it. She does tell Rick to leave Degrassi softly, but Rick refuses to. So anyway, we see a few episodes and Rick gets more drawn towards Emma, mostly being on part of the Wacky Brain team, and also because he took her advice to basically try to fix things with Jimmy, because we need to be a team. Of course, Jimmy got on the team when Heather St. Clair got mono. After being spurned by Raditch, he basically tells Jimmy in a practice session after Toby gets busted up by Spinner and Jay, when he forgets when they want Rick's information, because they know Rick's spray painted their cars. So anyway, he tells Jimmy that no one deserves this. Basically, I've been tortured, and now Toby's going to be tortured because of me. Jimmy then softens up and switches sides, which piss off Spinner and Jay and Alex, who are the only ones to really want to destroy Rick. I think Paige would want nothing to do with it. So anyway, it is obvious that Rick has pressure on Emma, and also says, "Emma, thank you for that talk, because I got everything working with Jimmy." She thinks it's innocent, but no, it's not innocent. Unfortunately for Emma, it gets bad as Rick holds her hand during the tiebreaker and all that, and whispers, "This is for you." After Rick gets pained and feathered, Emma tries to comfort him. He kisses her, and Emma's like, "What are you doing?" Rick's like, "I thought you liked me. I pitied you. I didn't want you to be destroyed by the other people. Get a clue." And Rick looks forlorn. Now after Rick is convinced by Spinner and Jay to go after Jimmy, and he shoots Jimmy, he goes he finds Emma in the hallway and basically wants to destroy her for leading him along. And Sean, of course, shoots Rick. Accidentally, of course. Emma can't believe what's going on. And, of course, Emma doesn't have a relationship with the guy afterwards. But then, in the next episode, Back in Black, Emma then is thankful to Sean for saving her life. And we all think that Emma wants to go after Sean. I don't know if she kind of knows that he's with Ellie or not. But who knows? Maybe her heart's with Sean. I mean, the guy saved her life. I mean, you can't blame Emma for being stupid. But anyway, Emma decides to go after Sean. Unfortunately, Sean leaves for Wasabi Beach, realizing that he's taken the shooting not so seriously and needs to cope with his parents. So unfortunately, Emma loses Sean and goes with Jay at the ravine after realizing that she can't be helped. And although she could have just simply just admitted her mistakes and basically go try to get therapy, everyone should have asked her to get help and all that. I think she would have listened to them. But anyway, she goes with Jay in the ravine because he was a link to Sean. She catches gonorrhea. She realizes she's being shunned by the school, and she also realizes she needs help, and she gets the help she needs. It's also imperative that a relationship doesn't always mean a romantic relationship. We're a relationship with friends. As we all should know, Manny and Emma were on again, off again as best friends for the first 6 seasons of Degrassi. And of course, Manny, I don't know when she actually accepted Emma as a friend again after what Emma pulled off with Liberty and Chris and her pettiness, but she got back. Liberty obviously forgave Emma. I think also with the fact that Emma was in the drama club for Dracula, Liberty didn't want to be so petty. She didn't want to be like Emma and be petty. But everything worked out. I mean, Emma did, in fact, piss off Manny by going after Peter for some dumb reason. And also, Emma was pissed off that Manny would actually go with Damien in Lakehurst and not talk to her about what happened with JT stabbing, which could have triggered a PTSD episode. Because, you know, she might have had PTSD with the shooting and all that. So anyway, what ends up happening is that Emma and Manny reconcile, and that's the last time they have a fight. All that. I mean, Emma didn't have a friend, and that would have helped her in the real world. I mean, if she had a support system that would help her deal with the shooting and all that, she would have been much better. I mean, yeah, she got help, but stupidly, it was because of a poor judgment she did that she got the help. Kind of puzzles me. So anyway, this case study's gone on long enough. I know some people will probably crap on it, but this is how I feel, and that's how I deal with it. Be sure to stay tuned. At the end of the week, we have some more Degrassi videos to go through, including great stuff to do with Aftermath. It's not going to be a top 10 like I did last time. It's going to be basically a character-by-character dramatization of how I feel they took the shooting and all that. Plus, top 5 things Rick could have done to avoid being what he is now. Like, what could Rick have done to save his bacon, if you will? And also a few other surprises, including Season 4 retrospective and all that. So stay tuned all this week for some new good Degrassi episodes.